All right, I'm gonna give you a quick pop quiz.
Oh, yes, sir.
I'm gonna throw some publishing terms to you, and I want you to tell me, how I can use them to my advantage. Okay?
Sure.
Here we go. Advances.
Well, in the publishing world, if you're doing a song deal, like a song by song deal or a one-off, we'll call it, and the guy really wants your song, well, that's great. It's great that he wants to sign your song, but you might want to ask for some money up front, which would be an advance. It's like, well, sure, I'm willing to give you half of my publishing or all of my publishing, but I'd like $1,000, $2,000, $500, whatever. The thing you need to know when you're talking about advances when it comes to publishing now, is that any money that they give you in an advance or even for doing a demo is a recoupable cost, which means until that money's made back, you won't get another dollar. And that's standard, but you need to know that. So that's the first one.
Okay, demo costs.
Well, we kind of just said it. In a demo cost, you may say, hey, look, I want $1,000 advance, and I also want you to cover the cost of doing a really good demo. Whether you do it or the publisher does it or he hires a third party, that's all cool. But at the end of the day, I need $1,000 advance and I need a $500 demo budget for this song.
Okay.
And that demo budget, again, is a recoupable expense. So until that song makes the $1,000 advance and the $500 demo budget back, you won't see a dime. Now, if the song was on the radio and it was performed on the radio and the performance income, remember, I don't collect your performance income, so that money goes directly to you. So even in your deal, your staff writing deal, you want to have radio hits because he can't recoup from any performance income.
Nice.
So that's going directly to you. I don't know. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Okay. Reversions.
Reversions, that's another publishing term that I think we discussed in another one of the sections, that it's always good in the beginning, no matter who you're dealing with or what your deal is, to ask for some time limit on when can I get the songs back. Now, knowing that the other person will probably say, I want this to go to the full term, meaning the full life of the copyright. That's what everybody wants. But you might say, well, look, if you've made X amount of dollars over all these years, I'd like to get the song back in 10 years, 5 years, 15 years, whatever the deal is. So the song would go from the publisher, and after that certain negotiated time frame that we negotiated in the contract, all those rights would revert back to you, which would mean any money that was made after that time.
Awesome. Okay, minimum earnings.
Minimum earnings is the same thing. I like to do this in contracts, and nobody likes it but me. But the bottom line is like, I say to everybody, well, if we haven't made X amount of dollars, then this isn't really a successful venture for you or me. And if it's not, I'd just like to have the song back. Meaning,
okay,
a lot of people are like, well, what's a low amount of money that would just mean that we did a little something. A lot of times they're willing to do something. We'll have with 10 grand in 10 years, $1,000, you come on. But you'd be surprised. A lot of songs, make millions of dollars. A lot of songs don't make a dime. But You still want, if it's a good song, you still want it back.
Absolutely. I mean, it always helps to get it back.
It always helps to get it back. Yeah.
Okay. Buybacks.
Well, a buyback is like to have something negotiated in the contract that says, look, if we haven't, here's an example. If we haven't done this by this amount of time, you gave me $1,000 advance, I'll give you the $1,000 back. I'll buy the rights back from you for $1,000, and all the rights will revert back to me. So it's basically saying in a finite time frame, that you have the right to buy the song back for X amount of dollars. It doesn't necessarily have to be the advance that was given to you. It might be 10 times the advance. It's just whatever you guys negotiate.
Okay. And finally, cross-collateralization.
Cross-collateralization is a super duper duper biggie that most people aren't really aware of. And that comes with, I don't know what your contract says. At the end of the day, here's, and if you've signed it, that's great. And I'm sure your manager is awesome. Here's what cross-collateralization is. Let's say you're a staff writer. and you've got to turn in the 12 songs a year,
Mm-hmm.
12 full songs a year. Let's say in that first year you have one song that's a #1 song. Performance income is in the millions. You're making a ton of money. It's a big pop hit, superstar, whether you cut it or somebody else cut it. It really doesn't matter. Well, then you have these other songs that haven't made any money. But he's been paying you your monthly stipend, your monthly salary. Let's say your advance is $50,000. I don't know what it is. We're using 50 to keep the math easy. So let's say you made $1 million off the one song. The other songs didn't make any money. But he spent $50,000 in your salary, and he spent another $50,000 on your demo cost. So you're in $100,000. Well, you're not going to get that $1 million. You're going to get that $1 million minus $100,000. You're going to get $900,000, which still sounds pretty good. But you got to remember, all the songs, all the debt from the songs that didn't do anything are cross-collateralized with the song that generated the income.
Is that pretty standard in publishing contracts, or?
Every publisher that would do a standard like staff writer gig, they absolutely positively want that, because they want to cover their butts. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And again, it only takes one big winner to pay all the bills. I try to get that out of every deal I've ever signed, and it's saved my butt a couple times, because I've had a couple really, really big revenue generating songs, and I've had a bunch of other songs that didn't generate anything with those same people, but they had to pay me all the money. So, yeah, you want to get it out of a contract. Some guys will take it out, some guys won't.
Nice.